Being able to sight line something is a good skill to develop, and it just takes practice. So that means as you're walking around the job site, as you're passing along a wall, just eye down it and see if you can tell if it's straight or not. And the more you do it, the easier it will become. And really what that means, like with this wall, if you were standing over in that doorway and looking down the length of the wall, as you start to bring your eye into line with that first stud, the stud starting back to front will start to snap into a single plane. And if the wall is completely straight, by the time your eye is just level with that front stud, you'll just see one flat plane down the wall. Now on this particular wall, that works until we get to this 4x6 post. As you start to bring your eye into line, you'll see more of this leading edge than the rest of the studs. So that's telling us that this thing is sticking out a plane, that the wall isn't completely straight. Now, with the fact that this is a 4x6 against a sheeted wall that's all tied in top and bottom, it would be too much trouble to try and take it all apart, move it somehow into plane, and then tie it all back together. Rather, we're going to handle this just right before sheetrock goes on. We're going to come through with a power planer, and we're just going to shave it down as necessary to give ourselves a nice flat wall. So when I eyed down this wall, I could see that this stud was sticking out. And on further inspection, I noticed that the bottom had just not been nailed in the appropriate spot. So it's an easy fix. You know, I don't have to replace the stud. All I have to do is bang the bottom over, put another nail in it to hold it correctly, and now this wall's nice and straight. So as you're going around the job site, sometimes you'll notice things and you have to make the assessment about it, whether this is something you're going to try and correct or whether it's really necessary to correct. If you take a look at this wall here, you can see that the plywood goes up in a nice flat plane, but then really sort of veers out this way as it gets to the top of this steel. You know, so if this were just going to be a sheetrock plane straight all the way through, well, that's going to be a big problem because there's not enough hot mud in the world to take care of that. But upon inspecting the plans, you discover that actually this whole corner back to about here with the vent is going to be a built-up box column with a beam going across to cover the steel. So the fact that this veers out like this is really not a problem you need to address because it's all going to get covered up in the box column that gets built here.